kicks on his feet. He looks up and gives me a grin and says,
"Hey dude, you too must be from Marin."
Marin County's A-OK, from Tam to Stinson all the way to M.A. Fresh organic veggies in the market every day. Lieutenant Dylan and NW.
Welcome to the Run TMC podcast. That is the Run the Marin County podcast, a podcast about basketball in beautiful Marin County. I am Duffy Ballard, and with me remotely and via voice memo is my friend and coach, David Levine. We'll hear a little bit more from Dave in just a moment. But first, a thank you to our supporters. Our past sponsors and supporters include Nike San Domenico Camps, North Bay Basketball Academy, Batiste Rum, West End Nursery, and The Hub. It's a beautiful time of year now that we sprung forward to go enjoy an evening outside at The Hub. Okay, so here we go. Plan for this episode. This is the last in a series of 4 Marin-focused episodes. Dave is going to break down where we are, which is very close to the end of the postseason. And no spoiler here, but there's one Marin high school team left. And then I'm going to throw a dime at y'all, and we're going to throw in a little preview for our upcoming episode and interview, which is a great one that we will release probably later this week, maybe early next week. So with that intro, Dave, take it away.
Thank you, Duffy. It's co-host Dave. You will hear in a little bit from correspondent Dave on a different topic, but co-host Dave will give you the update on the NorCal finals, or the NorCal playoffs, I should say. There were 5 Marin teams that made it, as I mentioned. Let's go through the boys first. The Redwood boys, the 9 seed in Division 1, had a tough first round game in NorCal. They lost to the 8 seed Oakland Tech, 71-57. Oakland Tech is an excellent team, tons of athleticism and talent, and really well coached, good shooters. A road game for Redwood. Redwood hung tough thanks to T.T. Carr, who I believe had 44 points. He was just exceptional, but it wasn't enough. Still a great season for Redwood. Congratulations on just an awesome run. Very fun to watch. Good luck to TT next year at Cal. We'll be rooting for you. And then Redwood will be certainly competing for one of the top spots in the MCAL next season. So congrats to Jada Maestri and Jeff Martin and Tom Poser and the whole squad. Branson boys were the 11 seed in Division 2. They had a first round road game. They had to go down to Mitty and face Archbishop Mitty in San Jose. And they lost in a very close, tough battle, 59-55. Again, great season for Branson. Coaches Demetrius Rookmore, Mikey Claggett did a wonderful job with that team. And, they've got some studs coming back. NJ Gray, Chase Robertson, Heath French, they're all returning next year. Branson will be very good and certainly one of the front runners for the league title next year, I'm sure. Tyler Gaffney's San Domenico boys received an 8 seed in Division 3. They had a home game against a very tough Aptos team, and Aptos came away with the win, 67-54. I was not at the game, but I heard that Aptos just shot the ball exceptionally well, seemingly couldn't miss from 3. Nick Tavani, grandson of former Run TMC guest and Marin legend Brett Tavani, had 31 points. So that's pretty cool. And congratulations to Tyler and the San Domenico squad, Gavin Early and the squad for an awesome season, historic season for the San Domenico boys. On the girls' side, the Redwood girls received a 13 seed in Division 2 after they finished in the top 3 in Division 1 for NCS. And they had to go on the road in the first round and play Lincoln, and they beat Lincoln in a nice game. But then in the quarterfinals, they had to go back on the road to the East Bay and play California High School, who's really good. And Cal High had a huge third quarter. Redwood was actually up at halftime by 7 or 8. Cal High had a massive third quarter and ended up winning the game 68-60. A great season for Zach Borello and the Redwood girls. Maya Sable was exceptional all year. I think she had 23 points, against Lincoln. They will certainly miss her, the Gallagher twins. But Redwood's loaded. They got a bunch of really good players coming back, including Brooke Denler, Kitty White, Drew Schultz, and a host of really good players. So Redwood will certainly be the front runners for the MCal title next year in the preseason. And congrats on an awesome season. And then the last but not least, the Marin Catholic girls are the only Marin team that are still alive in the NorCal playoffs. So KK's squad received the 3 seed in Division 3. They beat Christopher in round 1 by 17. They beat Menlo in round 2 in the quarterfinals by 10. And then they topped Marin Catholic in a close game I think they won by 14 in the semifinals to reach the NorCal final against a familiar foe, Justin-Siena. So Justin-Siena beat the number 1 seed Emmanuel on the road in overtime, 47-43. MC has played Justin twice this year. They lost by 20 earlier in the season, and then they beat Justin-Siena in the NCS final a couple weeks ago at Justin-Siena in a great game. So this will be a really fun matchup. I've seen Justin-Siena play. I've coached a few of those kids. Jordan Washington, their post player, is one of the best players in the state. She's really tough. They've got really good guards. They've got a great coach, and Andy's an awesome coach. So this will be a really fun one. And if you're around on Tuesday night, March 11th, head down to Marin Catholic, 7 p.m., the last Marin team standing, and it's Kayden Korst, our good friend of the pod, supporter of the pod, one of our first guests, and in her first season as head coach. She's got him on the doorstep of the state championship. So pretty cool. Again, congrats to all the teams who competed. And it's been such a fun couple weeks going to these games. I've been into a bunch of them seemingly every night. I'm going somewhere. I haven't missed a Marin Catholic NorCal game as they've all been home games. And it's great to see the fans out there. But you know what? We should pack the house for MC on the last night, and hopefully they can get the win and then head down to Sacramento on Friday and play in the state championship game. That's it from your NorCal friend and co-host, Dave. Back to you, Duff.
Excellent, Dave. And good luck to friend of the podcast, Kayden Korst, and the Marin Catholic girls team led by Izzy McFadden and 3 other senior teammates as they play tonight against Justin-Siena in front of what we presume will be a packed house with a chance to go to the state finals. So, way to go, Marin Catholic. All right, Dave, I promised a dime. It's dime time, and I've actually accumulated a few dimes, and it's time to go to the bank and cash them in. So I'm going to start with a quote from Jim Harbaugh. You know, Jim Harbaugh, the football coach. This is the start of free agency for the NFL. There's been a lot of movement. So far, it looks like the 49ers are primarily losing key players from prior seasons, but we'll hold out hope that they can bring in a few healthy bodies and turn around next year. But anyway, so Jim Harbaugh, I think we all know Jim Harbaugh, former coach at Stanford, at Michigan, way back in the day with the 49ers, and now with the Los Angeles. It's hard to say Los Angeles. Can we just call them the ex-San Diego Chargers, Dave? So Jim Harbaugh, who is having a busy offseason, he is having hip replacement surgery as well as cardiac ablation. In fact, he might have already had these procedures. This was in the news, and I was drawn to this, Dave, because I've had hip replacement surgery myself, and I was interested as to what type of hip replacement he was going to get. But I was not able to obtain that information but in doing a little research, I came across his interview with Forbes magazine, and he was talking a little bit about his goals for next season. These are very similar to some of the goals that we've talked about in terms of coaching, Dave, and you've talked about stacking days and that sort of thing. And Harbaugh says for next year, he just wants to win the day. You know, every day, win the day. I'm not really into saying have a nice day, he says. That seems to put a little chance to it. Let's just make it a great day. Weekly, monthly, yearly. This is our opportunity. Let's make sure that we give it our best and we'll feel good about what we've accomplished. So, good stuff, Dave, from Jim Harbaugh. And my next dime, I'm up to 20 cents now. My next dime is a story. And this is a story that's going to be told by friend of the podcast and good friend of both Dave and I, Ryan Craig, who Dave will introduce him here just in a second. But Ryan, just very recently, as of a couple days ago, turned 50, and seems like a good opportunity to spin out probably the best story I've heard him tell in his 50 years. And it's a sports story, and it involves Stanford, and it may relate to my initial dime that was just deposited into the bank. So we're going to play that interview, that brief story and interview, Dave. And then after that, we're going to finish out this podcast with a couple other clips that we will talk about on the other side of this. Okay, take it away, Dave.
All right, Duffy, I'm here with our good friend, the legendary Ryan Craig. Ryan is a friend of ours. Interestingly, friend of both mine and Duffy's through different walks of life. Ryan and I went to college together. A goalie for Stanford. True. Division I athlete. And then he is good friends with Duffy through life.
My wife, if we're honest.
Okay, we can be honest.
Yeah.
So the reason I've got Ryan Craig here, we're sitting on a street corner in Palo Alto looking like vagrants, is Ryan has one of my favorite stories about a Stanford luminary. I won't bury the lead, Ryan. I'll let you do that. But it was written up in Sports Illustrated by our friend Chris Ballard, former guest of the Run TMC podcast. And while I was sitting here with Ryan, I want him to tell the story because I want our listeners to hear it because it's one of my favorites. Ryan, tell us your story.
All right, man. I'll try.
Yeah. I'm putting him on the spot.
So the background is my son, who's now a sophomore in high school, was, I think, 18 months old, plus or minus. And in a weekend sometime, I think it was kind of February, March-ish, that was warmer than it should have been for being kind of winter, early spring. Saturday morning, I was dad doing daddy daycare, and took my son to the community pool, which in our case sits on Stanford's campus.
Okay.
And in the facility, there's a big kind of 12-lane lap pool and then a small circular kiddie pool. And I walk in, and this is probably 10 in the morning. There's no one in the entire facility. There's a little keypad to kind of wave yourself in, which I got in, save for one other dad with one kid in the kiddie pool. And so I walk over and, try to make kind of eye contact with this guy, no response. I take the lawn chair as far away from this gentleman as I can, not to, get in his stuff. I plop my son in the oval daycare, in the oval kiddie pool, and he begins to play, as kids do. He's a toddler. He's just sort of, splashing around. This other dad has, I think, a daughter.
Yeah.
Also splashing around, literally diametrically opposite in the pool. Within this pool, there's sort of this circular current from the way the water flushes in and out. And this dad's daughter is playing with inflatable toys, like little rubber duckies and something else. And inevitably, a little rubber ducky kind of floats around past my son. He watches it go by. It goes around the circle again. Another toy comes around. At this point, he picks it up. We've had no contact despite being the only 4 human beings in the entire facility.
Yeah.
And my son picks this thing up, and I think he may nod on it a little bit. And then he looks at it, cocks his arm, and just hawks it at this other kid across the pool. And it zooms past this other toddler's ear. And I should sort of stop by saying, in the course of me sitting there, this other dad has got my memory is it was like one of those beachy surf hats that are kind of woven husks, and it's pulled down over his head. He's been on his phone the entire time, just yapping away. Well, as this rubber ducky zooms past
his daughter's head,
he finally looks up, and in that moment, I realize it is Jim Harbaugh. And I get the look that a lot of people have gotten from Jim Harbaugh, where you realize what a special human being this guy is.
He's got a presence.
Yeah. And I think,
oh boy,
this is not going to end well for my son or me. And he begins to speak, and I'm bracing for the impact. And he says, "That boy's got an arm. You're either born with it or you're not." And he gets back on his phone, starts talking, puts his head down, and off he goes.
And that's Jim Harbaugh.
And that was Jim Harbaugh. So yeah, only 2 words I've ever had with Jim Harbaugh.
Ryan, arguably one of my favorite stories ever. Thank you for telling it. Beautifully done. Much better than I would have done.
Glad to do it.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Well done. And thank you, Ryan. And happy birthday again. Great story. Thank you for sharing it with us. And to Coach Harbaugh, we wish you a speedy recovery. And if you're bored, perhaps during your physical therapy sessions, you would like to join us on the Run TMC podcast, just reach out anytime. All right, we have a couple more items and segments before we close off this episode. I do want to note that next episode, which will be season 2, episode 19, we'll be going back to the long form interview style. That was our hallmark from the very beginning here at the Run TMC podcast. Our guest will be Tasha Jackson, who, as both a high-level tennis player as well as a practicing psychotherapist, is an expert in the fields of mental imagery as well as sports psychology and optimization of the mental side of the game. We're going to give you a little teaser that she sent to us after our interview addressing mental imagery. And along with this teaser was a video that I will describe on our next episode, but it has to do with a repetitive shooting form video from our friends at the Warriors, Stephen Curry, and former Warrior and Splash brother Klay Thompson. I have to say, my son Holden, who watched this a couple times, hasn't quite converted his shooting style to one that approximates either Steph or Klay, but we'll give it some time. So take a listen to that. And then we also have from Dave, who has just been all over the place. He's going to a different game every night. He reports from courtside at Dominican last weekend, where he watched the PacWest championships last Friday. And he gives us a little recap of the action there. So thank you for that, Dave. And finally, Dave, as you and I know, and those who are close to basketball in Marin County will know, there is some swirl at the high school coaching level, as there is after every season, perhaps more after the last several seasons than historically. And I don't know exactly what to make of that, but there could be an entire episode dedicated to it. But there will be some turnover in coaching in the MCAL, perhaps more swirl and turnover to come. Dave, you and I may each have more time to endeavor to our podcasting intentions next season, which maybe and perhaps and hopefully will benefit our listeners. And I want to take a quick note, and I intend more on this later, but my friend and coach at Archie, Russ Bauer, will be stepping down, and he has just been the epitome of an all-in coach who puts everything into the job and has really given a lot of himself to the kids and the program. And it is an unfortunate situation, and I have my own opinions on it. If you'd like to hear my opinions and or give Russ some support, because he could use a bolstering of support at this point, please reach out to me directly and I can loop you in. Okay, here we go. We have PacWest reporting, and then Tasha Jackson with a preview of our season 2, episode 19 episode, which is a season 2, episode 19 coming up very soon. All right. And then Luke Esterkin and Stroke 9.
Duffy, it's correspondent Dave. I'll take off my co-host hat and put on my correspondent hat, and wanted to give an update on my afternoon spent at Dominican University in San Rafael for the PacWest Conference Women's Basketball Playoffs. It was a really fun day. I was there Thursday afternoon to watch 2 excellent games. The top seed, Point Loma, faced off against the Westmont Warriors, coached by podcast guest and friend and legend Kirsten McKnight of Redwood. So it was really fun to see Kirsten and to see her team play. And then in the other game, our friend and also former guest Tim Lacose was coaching the Dominican Penguins against Azusa Pacific in a great battle. And so first off, the Point Loma Westmont game was a back and forth battle. Point Loma is really good. They are 24 wins, I think, 23 something wins. We're the top seed in the conference. Westmont, Kirsten mentioned to me before the game, she has no seniors on her team, so they're all coming back. They are a gritty bunch, and they kept it close against a really good Point Loma team. Point Loma was much bigger, so Westmont really had to dig in, and they kept it close. And I will say it was very fun to see another Marin icon, Hannah Golan of Branson, who's now, I believe, a sophomore at Point Loma. She comes off the bench. She's kind of the sixth man for Point Loma, and she had an awesome game. And Hannah's such a great kid as well. I said hello to her before the game. It was really fun to see her. I remember seeing her play a lot at Branson. Coached against her when I was at San Domenico. She was a great player at Branson, and she's thriving at Point Loma. And she had 8 points in this game, including a critical basket down the stretch when Westmont had cut it. Point Loma was up late. I think they were up 10 or so, or 12. Westmont hit a couple buckets and had cut it to 6 with about 2 minutes left. Very big possession. And Hannah, as she does, cut back door, got a pass, came to a 2-foot jump stop, absorbed contact, finished with her left hand, and went to the line. And that was, I think, kind of the nail in the coffin for Westmont. So congrats to Hannah and Point Loma as they were able to take care of Westmont 62-51. And it was great to see Kirsten and the Westmont team. They really competed hard. They got a great game from Bailey Fong, their guard. She had 21, including 5 threes, but not enough to beat Point Loma. In the other semifinal, Tim Lacoste's Dominican team upset Azusa Pacific 62-56. Was a really fun back and forth game. Taylor Lindsay, kind of undersized post player for Dominican, had 17 points to lead the way, but Dominican had 4 players in double figures. Tim has that team pushing pace, playing hard, shooting threes, getting out, getting after it. Tim is such a great guy and such a great coach. And it was really fun. Azusa has a lot of talent, including Player of the Year Kelly Heimberger. She had 18. Amaya Kirkman had 18 as well. Azusa's tons of talent, but Dominican was able to beat them. And then I was not there for the championship the following day, but I talked to Tim yesterday, and unfortunately, Dominican fell short against Point Loma 58-51. So Point Loma wins the title and will advance to the NCAA tournament. Hannah had another big shot, apparently late. So congrats to Hannah. And Point Loma, I think they're the Sea Lions, I believe. Yeah. So they win the title. But it was a great reminder that, the season's kind of over now for Dominican, but we have really fantastic college basketball in our backyard in Marin. So next season, if you didn't get out there this season, go check out Dominican, both the women's side with Tim Lacoste, the men's side with Coach Arginal. It's high level Division II basketball, and you think about every player on that floor was an excellent high school player. Almost all of them probably all league MVPs. A lot of them have the skill level to play Division I, but maybe they're just a little bit undersized or not quite quick enough, or there's some little thing that holds them from being at the Division I level. Some of them are Division I players who maybe transferred. It wasn't working out for them. I mean, we talked about, previously people like David Liss who walked on and made it at Cal, but then for reasons, including, academics, work-life balance, whatever it is, decided to transfer and play. In his case, he went to play Division III, but you just have really good players. And Dominican, the facility is beautiful. It's a great gym. It's easy to get to, ample parking, and high quality basketball in a really fun environment. So I loved being at that tournament. I loved seeing Kirsten and Hannah and Tim. And there were a bunch of other people. I was sitting with KK for a while. A lot of people from Marin were just there. Mike Fulton was there. I sat with him. Kiki Williams, legendary player, played at Terra Linda and Cal, played for Karen Horstmeyer. She was there to see her old coach, Kirsten Moore, who was the assistant coach at Cal. So very fun day, and congratulations to Tim and the Dominican team for a fantastic season, and congrats to Kirsten Moore and to Hannah Golan. That's what I got, Duff.
So mental imagery is underutilized, I think, in sports. And my mom had this amazing ability to kind of see technology going a certain direction. And she had me watch this video of Stan Smith, who at the time had the perfect tennis strokes. And it was really boring, really dreadful, but it stripped down anything other than just the stroke and had, let's say, the forehand, and you saw the forehand hit from different angles. You had it with music. You had it on a green screen, and it played and played and played. And visually seeing that, somehow it just kind of works and gets into your head of like, oh, this is how it's done. This is how the footwork is. And I still to this day can hear the footwork around hitting up a return a serve. Do was sort of the footwork. And that hit me in sound. So being said, I think there's something to watching the shot, the footwork, probably even the plays that you want to see, monkey see, monkey do sort of situation. Another caveat to this is replaying in your mind's eye that perfect feeling that we talked about, going into that flow state mentally and playing those reps. What was that feeling? Again, using your sensoritorium of what did it feel like? How was my body in that moment? Was I feeling light, alive, moving, gracefully? That's probably not people's words for basketball, but I don't know. And soaking that in. There's been some research, and I'm sorry, I can't pull it up, of people mentally doing reps of, let's say you're doing the shooting reps in your mind's eye, and it actually showing improvement comparative to someone who's actually going to the gym. Obviously, going to the gym is going to be better, but this is a close second. Definitely better than not doing anything at all. So going and replaying it in your mind, which you could do anywhere. So there's no excuse to not getting in your reps, at least mentally. I think this is a good exercise to do somewhere in your pre-game. Maybe it's the night before. I'm going through and imagining the positive of me hitting that floater, hitting the three-pointer, passing really well, and being detailed, positive, and specific with it, and having fun with it. So I think that's a useful tool of setting the stage in a positive way with the visualizations and adding any sort of sensory aspects to it. We are sensory beings, whether we discount it or not, and our visual world is huge and it can play out into our body. All right, I hope that makes sense, and thank you. Bye.
Burke's on his feet. He looks up and gives me a grin and says,
Hey dude, you too must be from Marin.
Marin County's A-OK, from Stanford all the way to MA. Fresh organic veggies in the market every day.